Anthony, we're back.
We are back. What a podcast last week.
Yeah. We another week's gone by and another podcast.
Like Zach was just a top guy, wasn't he? Just the epitome of what you want to see in CrossFit.
Had a great time talking to Zach for an hour and a half. And if you haven't seen that show, it should be in the on the YouTube channel in the live videos. So make sure you jump on and have a look at that. Listen to Zach Kadatz's story up in Toowoomba. But tonight, Anthony, who have we got on?
Oh, we've got someone that I can't believe we actually got this person on our podcast.
Yeah.
This is quite exciting. So you can obviously see the little ticker on the thing. Welcome to the CAMPodcast, Cara Saunders. I don't think she needs too much of an introduction. So let's bring her on stage.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome,
Howdy.
Cara.
Good evening, Cara. Thank you so much for joining the camp.
Pleasure.
5 podcasts in, and we got Cara Saunders on the show. God.
Yeah, we're just going up and up now. Like this is it. This is the moment. This is the moment where you can quit your job as a doctor, Dave.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
not quite.
This is what it's about. This is what it's setting it up. You got to do the groundwork early. But what a privilege, Cara. Thank you so much. And from the moment we made contact, you were always going, yes. Let me do it. I'll come on. And we know how precious your time is. You got 2 little ones, Tex and Scotty. You got a hubby. You got to look after your hubby. He's probably harder work than Tex and Scotty.
Sometimes.
So we really appreciate you giving us your time.
No worries.
You probably don't need too much introduction. We're one of the few, I think, Australian CrossFit podcasts, which is one of the motivations of why Anthony and I set this up. Is we're CrossFit frothers, right? We can't get enough of CrossFit media, but everything we're watching was really US driven, and we thought, geez, let's start one that's Australian and Aussie based, and see how popular it can become and how interested the Australian CrossFit community can get into our own content creation. So that's what we're here for, and we just love promoting the CrossFit message and the methodology, and we have both lived. I think we've all probably lived of the transformative effects that CrossFit can provide for you. So we'd love to talk a little bit about that with you, and go into your origin story, and really deep dive into some of those things that at the surface people probably don't know much about you. And even with lots of other podcasts that I know you've done, we might sort of probe even a little bit deeper into some of the things that you may not have talked all that much about.
If you're happy to, Cara.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Pretty much an open book. Most people know that.
Yeah. So I thought I'd just start off by flicking up a little promotional montage of just a little bit of your history, Cara, and that'll sort of set the scene, whet the appetite for us to talk a little bit more about. So let's see if I can bring this on the stage. There we go.
Each year, the Spirit of the Games Award is given to the athlete who inspires this community, not just with their incredible athleticism, but with their character. The athlete who epitomizes Qualities like integrity, class, heart, and determination. These are the things we value the most. They're the things we want to instill in every CrossFitter everywhere, no matter how many years pass and no matter how big we get. This year, there's no better representative for that than Cara Webb.
One more time, Spirit of the Games, Cara Webb.
Wow, what
Yeah, cool.
what
I love it.
what a career! Hey, I mean, and it's not over yet, I'm sure. But I was sort of putting that together, and it wasn't hard to put that together, Cara, because there's just, you just type your name into Google or YouTube, and there's just so much stuff
So much, yeah.
showing you doing amazing things. So that's, I don't know, that spans, those little images span what? How many years of, how long is your career now?
Yeah, so 13 years, I think, of CrossFit Games, like of competing, and then probably 14, almost, yeah, probably 14 and a bit of CrossFit in general. So a long time, like pretty much my whole adult life, really, when you think about it.
That's
Wow.
Which is, yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
That is-
and when you were looking at that,
amazing.
could you remember all those moments? Did they say, "Oh yeah, I remember that"? I can just sort of, did it were all of those images very real and,
Yeah, there's some that like stand out more than others. Some are a little bit blurry because I always think about it, like someone will bring up a particular event at the CrossFit Games or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, which one was that again? Like I can't remember because there's just been so many. So it's usually like the key defining moments that I remember more than necessarily a workout. Like if someone says, what workout were you most in flow, or what was like a tragic workout or whatever, the ones that carry big emotions with them are usually the ones that I remember the most. But there are some in there that kind of just get lost in the mix, like I can't even, it will be someone will say something, you did this in this workout, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
what is one of those big moments, Cara? Like what is one of the ones
Oh,
that's
well,
like front and center?
yeah, I mean, like most historically, it'd be like the Murph, right? Murph the first time and then doing it again. That was a big year for me because that was 2015, and I always remember that because I had broken my back at the start of that year, right before, it was like 6 weeks before regionals, it was back then. And I had been nursing it, and like really, I was wearing like a soft brace for 6 weeks and doing like daily physio and Pilates and stuff like that to get myself out on the comp floor. And I got through regionals and got to the games, and I remember the whole time being like so nervous that my back was going to blow up because it had blown up running. Like it was a combination of things, but like poor like extension in like that overextended position in running, or sprinting in particular, would really flare it up. And we had Murph, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope my back can like, hold in there. And then I ended up overheating in like the most crazy way and running a mile where I don't even remember. And it was like this big, dramatic year. And it was like there was so much in that year that was so memorable, in that, I went on to finish 5th still, even though I think I had
because you didn't. I think everyone thought you might have to pull out of the games that year because
they
kind of took you up on a stretcher or something, didn't they?
Yeah, like they kind of wanted me to, I think, because I think I'd had 3 or 4 bags of fluid in a really short period of time, like pretty hectic, and I was like wrapped up in, like wet towels and all the crazy stuff,
Heat stroke,
proper heat damage, and so, but like I kind of insisted, like, let me just go out and try, and if they assigned a medical staff member to me full time for the rest of the weekend. And to kind of take care of me because I was so sick, and she would come into the bathroom with me and help me and all kinds of things. And I had to pretty much bomb the next 2 workouts and just get through them just to kind of make the cut. And then I was able to kind of gradually pick up. But I remember like I barely ate anything for the rest of the weekend. I was eating like a bagel and 1 chocolate all day. And then just trying to like stay hydrated, and then still finish 5th. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I ran a mile and I don't even recall it, still to this day. Like, so that was a pretty hectic.
So what kind of led to that, Cara? Like what kind of led to that situation that you ended up like with heat stroke? Like, I mean, obviously it was hot, but what was the preparation and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, there were a combination of things. Back then, like that sort of stage in the games was still fairly new, kind of transitioning into LA and to Carson, and it had only been a few years really. And they were still kind of like getting to know the venue, and then I was a new athlete as well. And I just remember before the event, like I've always taken it very seriously. And, if you're a CrossFitter and you started doing CrossFit, when you hear of the hero workouts, it's very like, this really means something. Like, that this isn't just a workout. I had preached that as a coach, this isn't just a workout. This means more. When you suffer, it doesn't matter. We do this together, and all of those things. And so I had always taken it so seriously. And I came from an affiliate that was, full of veterans, and my coach at the time was a veteran, and there were a lot around me. So it meant a lot. And then we get this big speech from Dave Castro at the start of just before that event. And he's like, this workout is more than you. This is bigger than you. Like, you don't quit. Like just this real G up kind of like conversation. Right. And so in my head, I'm like, if I were to stop, it would mean disrespect. Like that's kind of like what was in my brain. And then I think I just got so into it, and I was just like, I say this like grit is my strength and my weakness, and that I'll just kind of keep going. And there was definitely no point where I felt like, oh, I'm going to pass out or anything. Like you just kind of feel like it's a hard workout. And then all of a sudden your body just will take over. Like it's crazy, because I spoke to people after who were like, most people's brain would like, you would stop sooner, but something in my brain just like doesn't quit, and then so it has to be my body that will stop me. And so
you're the original Dave Goggins, Cara. That's what I mean.
And so it just I honestly don't remember. I remember just feeling, I don't remember necessarily feeling hot. I felt hot, but no more hot than like I did in a normal hot workout.
Can you remember running down that path? Like you were deviating, you weren't running straight. You must have seen the video a couple of times now, and you don't remember that. You were seriously.
I don't remember getting out of the tunnel. So we had our last station. I remember doing squats there. Yep. And then you run into the tunnel and you pop out the other side of the tunnel. Under the tunnel's all the spare gear and media and stuff like that. And it's probably like, I don't know, maybe like 150 meters or something through there. And then you pop out and you're on the run track. I don't remember coming out the other side of the tunnel. And so I don't recall. I remember squatting and then maybe starting to get to the tunnel and then nothing. And so, I essentially like to this day, I'm like, I ran a mile and I don't know. I was barely conscious. Like I was just sort of, I don't remember anything. And, obviously looking back, there are a lot of things that could have potentially been done to prevent it, on my part and on the games. Like one thing they implemented the next year was like more hydration stations, more ventilation, like more fans around, because we had none of that out there. And then like we're in this kind of bubble, right? So, and it was like 1,000 times better. We did it the next year. It was 1,000 times better having that. And then even like what's really hard is like,
was it mid-morning? Was it done at mid-morning or afternoon?
It was like mid-morning. Yeah, it was in the morning. And I think so they moved it the next year, they redid it and they moved it much earlier before it got hot, which obviously helped a lot too.
And like, Carson is like, I've never been to Carson, but like, is that's the middle of their summer, is it? Or
middle of their summer is just so dry, like in very, very stagnant heat out there in the stadium.
Nowhere near the ocean or the beach, or because I know sometimes you guys used to go out to the ocean, do events.
In that stadium, like there's just not, especially in the soccer field and with the like the grandstands or whatever.
They call it the tennis stadium. Was it the tennis stadium?
The tennis stadium was like where we would do the evening events, but we would always do the daytime events in the soccer field, in the soccer stadium. Right. And then we'd move under the lights for the evening events in the tennis in tennis stadium, which was really cool. But yeah, like looking back, I'm like, oh, do I, as an athlete, you kind of want to keep going. As a human and as a woman, I'm kind of like, it kind of might have been beneficial if, like, medical staff maybe had to stop me or like out on the track or something, seeing that. And then because I experienced months and months and months of essentially like heat related, I guess, illness. I went and saw my GP, and she was like, you have to understand, like, you've cooked your internal organs and they're not working properly. So like fluid regulation, like my kidneys and everything like that would just not.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy for quite a long time.
Right. Wow. And there were other athletes. I think Annie did Annie pull out? Because I think I saw Annie walking and.
I think she stopped. I think, I think she might have stopped.
That wasn't the year she pulled out, though. There was one year.
I can't remember if she pulled out. It might have been. But yeah, you know what? It might have been. I think it was. Yep. Because I think she kind of felt the after effects too, right? And you've got two options. You can go like, look, I'm not going to be able to perform anywhere near what is my maximum. Do I keep going and, potentially do damage? Or then, like me, I'm like, for me, I was like, I've trained this entire year. I've navigated a broken back. I've come all the way from Australia. I was like, I am not, like, you're going to have to take me out kicking and screaming. I'm going to die leaving here. I was like, I am not giving up. I was like, I'm like, I've done too much, when you've trained all year. So I was like, I'm going to go. I don't care what it is. I'm going to do my best to the end.
It sounds like if they did intervene and stop you, you would have been pretty upset too.
Well, that's right.
I'm a competitor. You're an athlete autopilot.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go back a little bit. So we jumped forward, about 10 years in your career. So what about the origins, Cara? So where did you grow up in Brisbane, or you're a Brisbane girl?
Yep, I was born and raised in Brisbane. I lived in Kedron, so like not too far from where I was born, like pretty close. Yep, north side of Brisbane. Yep. And I was there pretty much forever until my adult life, and then until
were you the champion athlete at high school? Was you sort of
no?
Are there trophies with your name on it all over the high school gym? Or?
No, quite the opposite actually, because I was a swimmer in primary school, and I was good, but I pretty much did swimming because I had a single mom who was always working, and the school and the pool was like across the road from my house. So it was kind of like my babysitter to an extent. So I would swim in the morning before school, and I would swim sometimes in the afternoon after school, and pretty much just come home for food and then, go to school. That's the only three places I was pretty much. And so I swam a lot. I got pretty good. And then when I started high school, I don't know, like normal teenage girl stuff, I went to a private girls' school, and I remember feeling like very out of place because I came from like, we had no money, and I was just a little bit different like than the kids at this private school. But at the time, mum was kind of like going out of her way to be able to pay for me to be there, thinking it was kind of like, giving me a better opportunity. But I didn't like to stand out, so I quit swimming. And I just kind of wanted to just fit in with people and not stand out. And I stopped swimming, and I stopped pretty much doing any sport. So I didn't do any sport all through high school. But what's funny is I was always very conscious. I was always fitness and exercise conscious. So I used to get up almost every morning and go for a run before school. Or I would get up and do, like, Maddie always laughs at me, I would get up and do like the Oz style aerobics in my room before school. You remember the ones at like 5 o'clock in the morning on the TV? I had a little crappy
in front of the
TV
Sydney
in my
Harbour
room.
Bridge and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Where do you think that came from? Where did that come from? Like, did that come from watching TV? Like, I know whenever I watched Rocky as a kid, I would be out there doing push-ups for the next couple of weeks, but then it would die off. How did you
know? I obviously needed it. Like, I played sport my whole entire life, and I stopped doing it kind of not for the best reasons, and not because I wanted to stop doing it. Like, not because I didn't like exercise anymore, and I think I just needed it. And so
So you kind
yeah,
of
I
did
would
it in
get.
secret. So it was almost
Yeah,
like
I
you
was
did it in
kind of
secret.
exercising in
I think.
secret. Yeah, I would do like I would
Wow.
just get up and do like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups,
Wow.
go for a 5K run around. Like I would do the same run
Yeah.
lap. You know, probably most of the time, like before my mom was even up or anything, I'd do the same lap and I would just change directions, like running through the avenues of Kedron, like on the path, come back, go the other way. And I would just, I would do that a lot. Not like, I don't know, I would just run it. I didn't have any like, I don't know if I was
No, you
fast or
weren't
slow or
timing
I just,
it, or you weren't training for anything. You didn't have anything that you were sort of working
no.
towards, or
So
like.
you were
No,
doing
and
the
then
beginnings of CrossFit before CrossFit was CrossFit.
yeah, yeah. And then I got to I think it was grade 12, and I was like about to graduate. So at this point, I'd moved schools in grade 10. So I went from a very small, like a pretty small all girls private school, and I moved to a very big co-ed public school, and big change, and didn't do anything there, and just kind of like got a little bit lost because I had home trouble. So I just kind of didn't really want to be at school. I didn't want to do anything. I kind of just I had friends and everything, but I kept a lot in. And then it came to like grade 12 and we were graduating, and someone said like, hey, my friend said, let's do the athletics carnival. And I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah, okay. And the swimming carnival, I was like, last year I'll do it like just because we're graduating. And I did really well. I was like just doing really well at things. And everyone was like, oh, I didn't know you were good at any of this. And it's funny because people ask me now, like, oh, would anyone have expected you to be a professional athlete? I'm like, no, like no one knew that I was good at anything. And I used to
So was that other things? Was that running? Was that high jump? Any sort of more gymnastic-y stuff as well that you just
No,
did
it was
well
more
at?
just like running, high jump, long
Yeah.
jump,
Yep.
you know, like all those basic things. And then your swimming carnivals, like your basic like 25s, 50s.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I remember kind of being one of the only people that could like butterfly well. That was my stroke, and no one really ever knew.
Yeah.
There were like a handful of people like close to me that knew I could swim. Yeah, so and I would skip sports days because one of the boys I was friends with made a comment about my legs being bigger than the boys, so I wouldn't go on sports days because you had to wear like shorts or a shorter skirt. And so I pretty much just did nothing. I was only working out. I had a PE teacher who like knew that I was kind of a little bit lost and needed help, and he tried to get me in the rugby league team, and there was a girls rugby league team, and I wanted to play so bad, and my mum wouldn't let me play. She was like, you've had braces, and you know, like you're going to get hurt and you're going to get your teeth knocked out or whatever. And I wanted to play so badly and I wasn't allowed to. And but he tried that, you know, bless that teacher for trying to help me out and seeing that would have helped.
Yep. So never entered the footy, eh? Didn't get into there.
No.
All right. And so did sport kind of make you feel good? Like, did you get those natural endogenous hormone highs that we've all felt after training, you know, where you just feel jacked after it's trained? Did you notice that as a younger, you know, teenager?
Yeah, I think I didn't. I mean, I've always been very like intuitive and very, very connected to my body, I guess. And I think it's like I didn't really realize, but like, yeah, I think I just needed it. So I would just do it. And it was obviously like, for lack of a better word, like soothing something in me, you know, like it was giving me that to go and run in the morning or go do something. And like, I feel like I just would feel like crazy if I didn't move, you know, like it just felt like I would have just felt, and I still to this day, you know, like if I don't move, I feel quite scattered. I can't think clearly. I'm not someone that I can't focus, you know. So if I have to do something where I really need to use my brain, I'm so much better using my body first.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you like discover CrossFit? Like when did
after
CrossFit
school?
come into the...
Yep. So I was after school, I kind of finished school and I was just working and studying, and I kind of was like going out with friends, just partying, you know, being like 18 and going out most night, wasting all my money on nights out, you know, just nothing insane, but just.
Do you mind me asking what you went? Did you go to a uni or a college or?
So I studied I didn't finish with one semester to go, but I studied at what was the Endeavour College of Natural Health, and I was studying a Bachelor of Health Science in nutritional medicine. Okay. And I had one semester pretty much to go, maybe just over one semester, like the prac and a couple of like makeup subjects to finish. And I qualified for the CrossFit Games. And
Right.
I threw it away because, to be honest, looking back, I think I was looking for a way out because I was just kind of so lost in life at that stage, and I had a lot of family stuff going on, and I was struggling to focus there. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like passing subjects and getting through the degree, but I remember thinking like, I just haven't been present, like I wanted to just start from the start. When you've done something, you're like, I kind of just want to wipe it and start again. And I qualified for the games, and it was, at that point, CrossFit had, for lack of a better word, kind of saved me from the headspace and from where I was. And I had found it, to answer your question, because I was going out and I felt quite lost, and I felt a little bit just gross, to be honest. I was like, I feel a bit lethargic and, just a bit like crappy in myself. And I told my mom, and she said, like, my mom had kind of had health issues on and off, and she would gain weight and lose weight, and she was at the gym and it was really helping her. And she said, why don't you come and join the gym with me? And it will give you some purpose, and it will like make you feel good. And, I said, yeah, okay, cool. And she said, I've got a personal trainer. Why don't you pay him like you're working? Pay him, have someone to keep you accountable and to teach you how to do things properly. And I said, okay. So I signed up to this Globo gym. I got booked in the personal trainer. I didn't have a car, so I used to run there every day. I'd run 5Ks to get there, go to the gym, or like walk from my grandparents or something like that. I would just kind of walk around there. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. I was just focusing on myself. I stopped going out and partying. I didn't want to drink anymore or do anything. And then that personal trainer.
That Globo gym training, was that pretty classic Globo gym machines? And
I didn't do a lot of machines.
It wasn't functional in any way, or was
no, like I did the machines with the personal trainer, but I didn't really go in there by myself. So that was like maybe once a week or maybe twice if I saw him twice a week. And otherwise I would just go and like run on the treadmill, ride the bike, do the stepper, like do some sit-ups and push-ups over on the floor. Like I would just kind of make things up, I'd go, I'm here for an hour and a half. I'll just kind of keep moving for an hour and a half and just do different things with no real structure, no program, no nothing. And then, he found out about CrossFit, and he was like, I've found out this thing and I think you're really going to like it. And he had really fun out of the box kind of PT sessions that he'd get me. Like he knew I really liked diversity and doing fun things. And so we did this workout in the Globo gym, and it was like wall balls, box jumps, and a run on the runner. But it was like a low wall ball and like a little tiny, but maybe a 16-inch box. And it was like a couple of rounds. He's like, I'm going to do this workout with you. And I did it. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I love this. This is amazing. It's so cool. And he's like, you need to come and watch this thing called the sectionals. That was like the open back then. And it was out at CrossFit Brisbane at Matt Swift's gym and back then. And he was like, you need to come watch this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all in. Like, I'm going to, and I remember going and watching it. And it was like all these dudes with like no shirts on, like doing all this crazy stuff, like snatching horribly, like just doing all these crazy lifts. And it was grungy and people were yelling, and it was in the shed. And I left that day and I never went back to the Globo gym. I went home, I Googled CrossFit, I started following .com, and I started doing like homework, like workouts underneath my mom's deck at home. Wow. I taught myself how to squat, how to push up. I had a set of rings. That was the first piece of equipment I had. And I would do pull-ups. I taught myself keeping pull-ups on rings to start. I just kind of did I was like amazing at bodyweight workouts. I just did heaps of bodyweight workouts, taught myself how to do handstand push-ups on the concrete with a towel under my head, like just so like basic. And I waited until that PT opened up. He said, I'm going to open up a CrossFit gym, but we're about 12 months off or 18 months off. And so I just trained at home underneath it. I was like, I can never go back to a normal gym ever again. Like I can't do it now that I've seen this. And so I just trained underneath the deck every day by myself. And then he opened up the affiliate, and I was the first one there on day one, and I never stopped.
Wow.
That was,
and how did you, like because you're training by yourself, like how did you ensure that you were moving properly? Because like you're a phenomenal mover. Like, everything that you do like just looks textbook. So it's like, how did you do that by yourself?
I think I'm a very like visual learner. And so I would just watch videos, and, they'd put a lot on .com, and they'd put a lot of videos up on there back in the day and on YouTube. And I would just watch them on repeat and just try and copy it, and then I would just keep doing that. But that's literally I taught myself kind of like how to snatch, how to do everything. I just watch videos until it felt like it was kind of imprinted in my brain, and then I just replicate it over and over again.
Because there wouldn't have been too much content back then. Like CrossFit wasn't pumping out too much.
No, there were basic videos. They were like, it was more instructional videos. So there were definitely like, I remember there was like the one video about how to row, and it was like every affiliate would just kind of post that. You could put it on your website when you put the workout of the day, you know, it'd be like, here's how to row. And then there'd be another one like, here's how to snatch. Like it was, and then there would like, I remember there was like, oh my gosh, what was his name? Oh, I can't think of it. There was like a Russian like weightlifter.
Miko Salas or Dimitri?
No, it was someone else. I can't remember. I'll have to find his name and let you know. But he was a weightlifter, and everyone was like, "Oh, have you seen this guy so fast?" Like he wasn't a CrossFitter; he was just a weightlifter.
Oh, okay.
And he was and he was so quick. And I would just watch him. I'd be like, I want to move like that, so I'm only going to watch his videos. And he would put up a lot of videos on YouTube, and so I would just binge watch it over and over and over again until I felt like I could move like him.
Thank God for YouTube back then, hey?
Yeah.
Wow.
But there were a couple of cool docos, you know, that Every Second Counts. Have you seen that one? The really early OG videos, Every Second Counts.
Yeah, I know I have seen it. I just can't like think of it off the top of my head, but yeah.
Pat Sherwood and Castro would hang out with the red and blue team. I think it was Julie Fouché and Camille.
Yeah.
They'd compete against each other. Miko Salas. I've watched all of those. I think they've taken them down now, but they were absolutely fantastic.
Might have been like the original Invitational.
Yeah.
The first one.
So then the box opened, your first affiliate, and what was that? Was that Raw? Was that CrossFit Raw? Or was that?
Yep. In Stafford, in Brisbane. Yep. CrossFit Raw.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So CrossFit Raw is where you first started your CrossFit career. And then did you start working there? Is that where you started coaching as well, or not?
I did start coaching there eventually, but I was just training there at the start, and then I was like, oh, I kind of really want to be in this industry, and I was like, I think I was working in retail at the time, and I was like, oh, I can't work in retail anymore. I wanted to coach, and I remember they didn't have a spot for me to coach there, and I didn't have any like skills or like, you know, my level 1 or anything yet. So in the meantime, I went and got a job at like a, you remember the Fernwood Fitness, like women's gym? I went and got a job there thinking that I was going to like help all these people get fit and really motivated. And they put me on like the sales team, and I sat in a room having to cold call people, and it was terrible. And then, you know, finally they were like, hey, we need a coach. And so, yeah, I went and did my level 1, and I started coaching, and that kind of just became my job. Like it was a little bit at the start, and then a little bit more, and then I was coaching there up until end of 2016.
And like training, did you have a training partner? Did you very quickly realize that yes, you know, you're exceptionally good at this sport? When did that you obviously enjoyed it and you got a lot out of it yourself, but when did you realize that, hey, I'm pretty bloody good at this? I'm sort of, you know, one of the best in my gym and then other gyms in Australia. Like, when did that penny drop?
So I didn't know. I was just doing the class, and I would just loved it so much. I would always turn up early and practice skills and, you know, do muscle up drills and all that kind of stuff, just because I wanted to be able to do things. And then we did the Open in 2011. So I joined the gym in February 2011, and then so I was like brand new baby to CrossFit, and then the Open was like March or something, like really close, and they're like, let's do the Open. I was like, I don't even know what it is, but okay, this is really fun. So I did the Open, and everything was like, I remember having like squat cleans or whatever, and I'd never done them before. That was the first time. And then 2012, it came around again. I was like, yeah, I'll do it again. That was really fun last time. And I think I finished 5th in Australia in the Open in 2012. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, hey, you got really good. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, I did. I didn't even know. And then I had everyone was like, "Oh, who's this girl?" And then I got sponsored by Again Faster. They were like, "Oh, she's a new up and comer." I was like, "Oh, this is fun." And then I went to regionals and I won. And I was like, "What just happened?" Like I honestly had no clue that I was any good. I just thought I was like better than I had been. And I won in 2012 and went to the CrossFit Games, and I just had no idea what I was doing. So
that was your first CrossFit Games 2012.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how much training were you doing, Cara? Like, because it's so interesting. I guess when we see the people that are the best at the gym, and then when you see the step up for the next level, when you go to like Torian, and you see that, oh my God, the people in the gym are now not the actual people at the top, and then you see those people, and then the people at the top at Torian are not normally the people that are top at the games. It's just, it keeps, how did you know, like, what is the difference between those levels in terms of...
People will hate me for saying this, but I only did the classes all the way up to that point. I did no extra training other than, maybe I'd come from work, like another job, because working kind of two jobs. I would come there and maybe do like 20 minutes of like muscle up practice or something beforehand, like transitions or something. But I would do just the class, and I didn't start doing anything a little bit more specific until after I qualified for the games in 2012. My coach was like, who was my boss at the time, it was like your boss at the gym was your coach type of thing. That was what it was like back then. There were no like big programmers or anything. And he said, I'll give you a couple of extra workouts, like, things that are just a bit more specific to you leading into the games. That was the first time I did anything. And then all the way up until the end of 2016, until I left that gym, so end of 2016, I was only training once a day for about an hour and a half. And
Wow.
I had stopped doing the class, and I was training in the afternoon on my own. But I would do maybe like 2 pieces. The only time a year that I would do extra was between regionals and the games. So that little window of time, there were a couple of days a week where I would do 2 sessions. And they would maybe be an hour and a half. So I didn't actually do any more than an hour and a half worth of work until like 2017.
So it doesn't sound that arduous, does it, to be a CrossFit Games athlete back in the day?
No, well, you know what though, like everything we did, like I've watched the evolution of programming and of athletes, right? And what we did back then, there wasn't as much like of the skill other than the consistent skills, like, muscle up snatches, things like that, but not like, oh, we're going to throw in too many random things. There was something a little bit at the games every now and again, but it was, everything we did was with such purpose. So like every time I trained, it was so 10 out of 10 effort. Like I was so all in that, every session I lifted, like I never even heard of training percentages until 2017. So if I did 5x5 back squat, I did 5x5 back squat until I was dying every time. Wow. And if I did, 20 cal echo bikes, like it was sprints every time. So there was no pacing, there were no percentages. And then when I got a coach, like kind of a high level coach at the it was after the 2017 games. I got a coach, and that's when I started. That was the first time I ever learned. So it was after I was on the podium, mind you. That was the first time I ever heard of percentages and pacing. I'd never done anything before then.
Oh my God.
And then that taught me to like learn to change gears and work a little. So I improved obviously like my aerobic skills on the longer running events and things like that. And worked more skill things. But otherwise, up until that point, it was just pure grit.
Yeah,
and obviously
just working at threshold all the time. Yeah.
All the time, every day. And big sleeps. No children, no anything. Just coming home and having like a big sleep in the daytime.
Yeah. Feeding the engine as well. And did you communicate with the community of elite athletes? Did you communicate with each other a lot, like the people you were competing against at regionals in Australia at Wollongong? And
no, I was always like my like old coach at the gym kind of always kept me, I guess, separate. And it was sort of like a do your own thing, don't worry about other people kind of situation. So I always kind of say I was like on a little bit of an lonely island. I trained on my own. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what anyone else was doing. I would just show up to competition. I did the open workouts once. I never practiced the regional workouts. I just showed up, went hard, went home, didn't really bother with anybody. And yeah, I didn't really know. I would, so much so that I never even really was ever allowed to check the leaderboard. I just did my work, I guess.
You just did the process as opposed to the worried about the results by the sound of things. So it was just always focusing on the process. So
that's right. Yeah.
Well, that seemed to work for you because you've got like a 5th and a 2nd in 2013, a 3rd in 2014, 2015, 1st in Australia, 1st in Australia, 1st in Australia. It's like whatever you're doing is working there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as you transitioned from, like, as you said, I guess that point of 2017, you started doing percentages and all that. Is that when you kind of saw CrossFit as a whole start to become, I guess, a little bit more professional in the way that training was being done? Or
yeah, that was kind of the first time I sort of really paid attention and realized that, people were doing things like a little bit more professionally, I guess. Like I sort of had an awareness of it. Like I always kind of joked around that I was like the home brand athlete, just like kind of just working and beating myself down until I was better. And then, yeah, I kind of became a little bit more aware of it at that point and saw that there were other coaches and whatever. And by that stage, obviously I was kind of like mixing with the best up the top. So you're like, oh, maybe this is sort of what I need. Like I got a running coach as well to try and help me there. And yeah, it was definitely kind of like a starting point. I mean, I think people were already doing it more professional than I was like well before then. But that was, I guess, when I became a little bit more aware of it.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that it was like but the sport as a whole was doing that as well? Like, because obviously, like when you look back on, I guess, some of those earlier videos, I think one of the videos that Dave showed me where they're doing snatches for the first time and the guys are struggling with like 60 kilo snatches and it's looking all over the place, and now like that's not a problem for them. So you've seen that sport, I guess, change so dramatically, go from that piece of just being everybody gives it their all at the one moment to something that's now a lot more structured in terms of the approach.
Yeah, like anything, it kind of just naturally grew, right? More money got involved, prize money started to increase, more sponsors started to wanted to be involved. At the start, no one was really sponsored too much, or anything like that. And then that kind of started to grow. And I guess that's a sign when people start wanting to put money into it, that it was really growing and more people were kind of, coming along. And things started to get a lot more professional in the way of the movement, how people could move. It was kind of like at the start of my career. There was definitely a shift from like kind of the backyard, the very first CrossFit Games, to like when I started was kind of like that was a new piece. And then there's kind of a new piece like now, I guess.
You were like the middle generation, so to speak.
Yeah, like I guess I was sort of like part of both. I feel like I've been part of like 3 pieces. Like I was sort of at the tail end of the first bit, lived all of the middle, and then I've kind of still been there, like my last CrossFit Games that I competed as an individual, I was like 30 something and I was competing against like 17-year-olds, so I was like still kind of like there with like the whole start of the new one.
Yeah. Could you be a professional athlete for most of your career where you didn't have to have a day job? Like obviously those beginnings, the roots, the very original CrossFitters, they would have still had day jobs, and almost none of the the professionals now are sort of doing other things.
Yeah, like it was probably around somewhere in the middle there, maybe around 2015. Like you kind of could, not compared to like the last couple of years. Like it was like, oh, you could kind of, things weren't as expensive either, but back then, like they are now. But you could, like there were sort of more like bigger sponsorship deals and things like that coming in. But I was still sort of working up until about 2017. The problem with it is it was never about whether you were one of the best athletes. It was whether you got marketed or not. So, we were very much, like obviously CrossFit Games had their own media, and then CrossFit kind of had their own media. They're kind of like two sort of separate but connected parts.
Yes.
And it just sort of depended, like how media wanted to run with like your popularity or what story they wanted to tell, right? There was always a new one that they'd bring in every year. And so that unfortunately would heavily play on how much you were able to earn in the way of sponsorships and things like that. Then obviously we were there in the turn of social media, and that became a whole nother thing. And then, like the prize money, if you look at it compared to a lot of other professional sports, is so low. Like if you look at like golf, tennis, like anything, it's like peanuts, man. So like, and it's not consistent. Obviously being an athlete, we weren't getting paid a wage to just be at the CrossFit Games. You had to like do well. You had to be in the top 3 to get paid. Otherwise you would rely on sponsorships, and the sponsorships would come down to how much other people would value you and how marketable you were. So, I've seen athletes.
It would probably cost some people money to go to the games.
Always.
The travel and accommodation and to come 40th.
Like if I didn't do well, I would be in the hole, you know what I mean? Like, and you're still having to pay, like tens of thousands of dollars, especially for Aussies or any other like international athletes. Like we've always like, I would hate to go back and track how much money it's cost in accommodation, to stay in California, mind you, back when it was there. So stay in California, flights, all that kind of stuff that only got more and more. So like it is a massive expense. And, there wasn't ever necessarily like, the prize money in Australia was for regionals or, like for the regional level was not more for international athletes or anything like that.
$5,000 or $10,000 or something, wasn't it, for winning?
Yeah. So you would know that that's your ticket, and that's like a little bit of your accommodation and food, and then like you're going to have to. That's why there were always fundraisers, right? The community would get around the athletes that they knew, and they would go like, "Let's do fundraiser shirts and all that kind of stuff." And in my early days, there's no way, as a CrossFit coach, I wasn't casual CrossFit coach, I wasn't earning a lot of money. So, if it weren't for my local community back then, I probably wouldn't have been able to make it. I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I wouldn't have this career if it weren't for them and their T-shirts and stuff like that. So, and then, obviously then sponsors, as you start to grow and you get to the top, if you're at the top, sponsors start to go, okay, we'll cover your flights and things like that.
Yeah. But so even sponsorship then, like you mentioned again, faster, and like that's not big money, is it? Like it's just token things, or
yeah, like I think it depends on who you are at what stage too, right? Like I said, the payments, like we've gone from tens of thousands back then to like hundreds of thousands now, depending on who you are. So it can vary so much, and then there's some people who are like, oh, you just get free gear. Like there are so many levels to it. A lot of people keep it somewhat close to their chest, unless you've got kind of other close athlete friends, and then you kind of know maybe sort of some things that they're earning. But it kind of got like pretty desperate, I guess, for a lot of athletes. Like a lot of people would just say yes to anything because it was the only way they could keep showing up, was to like kind of get paid to represent these brands. And it's pretty wild. Yeah.
It was a big growth. All right, that's really cool, really interesting. And should we go into the COVA stage, when you started COVA, which is obviously when I first met you, and you were my coach for a few, as much as possible, I think. And
how was that, Cara? How was it coaching Dave?
Terrible.
Uncoachable. And I remember meeting Maddie, because actually you hadn't actually even opened the doors yet. You hadn't officially opened COVA. And I walked in there, and Maddie was on his knees, putting the bloody black rubber mats up against the wall. And I popped in there and said, hey, I didn't actually know who he was at the time. So we're keen to join. And he goes, yeah, over there, go over there. So he sent me towards you to sort of sign some paperwork and stuff like that. he was having a hard time putting bloody 100 mats down on the ground.
Oh,
but
man,
it's a labor of love, isn't it? It's an absolute labor of love, building a CrossFit box.
Oh man, that's an understatement. Yeah, you look at any affiliate owner and really people go, oh, you're just going to get to train all day and get paid to hang around the gym. And you're like, oh no, there's so much more to that, so much more than that. And, even setting up that space was such a mission, being like an old car shop. It was so great. We hand scrubbed grease off the walls and painted and fitted everything out, it was so crazy. And such hard work, but yeah, you do it. Like we always said, we still to this day, we're always like, oh, that we don't, it's not right for us in this phase of life to own a gym, but we always loved coaching, right? We're there's just, there's crappy parts to it, like early mornings and late nights, but it's not crappy when you're in it because it's just such a selfishly, it's also a very rewarding job, right? You actually see an impact on people's lives when you actually believe in what you're coaching. So yeah, there are moments and just having, I guess, that kind of the consistent people that are there all the time that you get to see and chat to and but they're big days, man.
It becomes like an extension of your family, really, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what? I've been training at home for years now because that's just what worked for having my babies and our life structure. And I do always say we've got my daughter does CrossFit Kids down the road and a gym down the road. And it's nice to just go down there and be around another gym, but I still train at home all the time. But it's you miss that, right? Miss having that kind of the people around and that camaraderie, and we might get back there at some point.
Yeah. So you think there's a chance?
There's a chance you're going to own a CrossFit affiliate gym.
COVID 2.0, yeah.
Oh man, not at this moment. Far out with my schedule.
Yeah. And it was a bit of a shame. It was a bit of a shame. I think Brisbane City Council had something to do with the end of COVID. And do you want to tell? We fought tooth and nail. We fought tooth and nail for that gym. I tell you, we had that amazing spot. It was so amazing. Freestanding spot. Yeah.
Heaps of parking, close to public transport. It was beautiful. It was open. It was not too big, not too small. It was just great for the right amount of people for a CrossFit gym. We loved it. And we had council issues going. Oh, we had a noise complaint. Classic CrossFit, right? Dropping barbells, no one wants it. Yeah. No, you're not welcome anywhere. And so we had a noise complaint, and we did everything. We were we would do anything to make this work. Closing the door, we were we'll do acoustics. We're can we do something to the walls? What can we do? What can we shift around? Looking back, there was other things we should have done. We should have just restructured some of our classes or whatever, but we didn't want to take away that early class of that CrossFit programming from the people who that was the only class, the early class is the most loyal class.
The busiest. The 5 a.m. is always just pumping. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could make it just cardio or something. Anyway, all that aside, we fought tooth and nail, tens of thousands of dollars. I think it was maybe 50 or 60 grand or something that we'd paid in the end to try and get it over the line. They come back to us we were never going to make it. And they were in the end, it was you don't have enough parks. And I was we've got 28 parking spots. Find me another gym in this area or anywhere that has this many parking spots. And they were no, you could have this many people in the building. We're we don't though. We cap our classes because we can't fit that many people and offer a decent service. So, and they were no. So we moved the spot. With minutes, I had a business partner falling out at the time, and I wasn't allowed to say anything. I was in a really difficult position, and I was fighting to save this gym so that people had somewhere to train. And we found this spot last minute. We moved it. It was 7 to 10 minutes away, but out of the way for some people couldn't make it, which was hard. We did our best and fought, and then COVID hit. And we had reset up. We were fitting out this big place. We were about to take it big. Building in kind of retrofitting this office and everything. COVID hit, and it was a sports center, and half of it.
Cooperoo, was it in Cooperoo somewhere?
No, this was in Nunda, so still north side. Yep, still north side. The fella that owned it, so they had indoor cricket and everything on the other side. And the fella that owned it, when COVID hit, it was all scary, and he goes, "I actually am running at a loss. I have no money. I can't do this anymore. I've got to leave." And we were about literally days away from finalizing the new lease agreement with him, literally days. It was all but done, just needed to sign it. And he's I got to leave. He didn't own the building. He walked out. Someone else came in, took it over, and goes, you're going to have to pay an extra $30,000 on your lease, massively. We're we can't we can't do that. Like we would have to put our prices up massively. We can't facilitate that. So we tried, and they went, no, we're just going to fill it with someone else. You've got to leave.
Yeah.
And so we moved again, and we joined forces with the Function Mo gym in Newstead. We reached out. We were like, how do we save this thing? And we were like, he's got a gym down the bottom. We'd heard he had a CrossFit gym down the bottom, which was CrossFit Newstead, but he also had like a really big demand in the regular gym upstairs. And we thought maybe we can go and blend. We can sort of manage it, take our gear, set it up and join in, but go like, we'll give the CrossFit gym part the love that maybe you don't have the time to give it because you've got so much in this gym.
Yeah.
So we did that and it was going really well. And then we kind of got to a point where like on a business front, like we just couldn't see eye to eye. It wasn't like there was no like bad blood or anything, but it was kind of like, you know, him running it the way he wanted. He had a vision, and then we kind of had a vision for the CrossFit, but they just weren't aligning. And we were like, we have been fighting tooth and nail for this space since the minute we opened it. Like we are grinding at this point. We've got a little baby, you know, like we did the first move when I was like 36 or 38 weeks pregnant. And we were like, we have just been fighting and taking so much and just spilling money of like our own funds to try and keep this thing alive so people have somewhere to train. And because we loved it, right? Like that's the affiliate owning. You love it. It's just, it's what you do. Yeah. And Maddie and I just looked at each other and we're like, we can't keep taking this away from our family. You know, we have a child now, and we kind of said to him, like, look, do you just want to sort of take this over? We'll come to an arrangement and we'll kind of hand it over and we'll walk away. We'll start fresh. And he was like, yep, good. We came to an arrangement that we all felt comfortable with. No bad blood, nothing. We were just like, in business, sometimes it just doesn't work right. You just have different visions. Yeah. And so then we went home and we were like, far out, like, what do we do now? Like, it did feel like a weight off in a sense, but also like a bit of grief. And we had talked about maybe moving to the coast. We didn't know. And then Maddie was like, let's just see what we could get for our house. We'll just see what happens. And then before we know it, we'd sold our house in like a week. And one of our members at COVA was a real estate agent. And
And you're 36 weeks pregnant and you just sold the house.
Yeah, we sold the house and we had like, so my daughter was like a little bit older then. So this was a little bit later because we'd obviously been moving. We sold the house and then we were like, let's just go. And so we had like a week because we sold our house so fast with a really quick settlement. And we were like, we're leaving Brisbane. And we're like, we kind of got nothing really to stay here for. Like, let's just go. We moved down. We had a week to find a place. We hadn't bought anywhere yet. So we rented. We found a place in the nick of time, put all of our stuff in a storage container and just moved in. Like, you know, we had like a little kid at the time. And we rented for like
at the Gold Coast. At the
Gold Coast. We rented for like 6 months and then we found our home that we're in now. So it's been a whirlwind of things to say the least.
But you set it up. You set it up. That's your gym now. That's where you do most of your the vast majority of your training.
Yeah, so when I first moved down, I was doing a little bit of training at Zeke Grove's gym, which is called CrossFit Carve in Burleigh. And he would kind of let me in. I would train with him sometimes, but it was just really good because I could bring my daughter in and like she out of hours and, you know, she could run around and, you know, play with his kids or whatever as well. And we would try and train together when we could just to boost each other along. And, you know, I did the online COVID CrossFit Games 2020 there. And then I would train at home the rest of the time just because I always just wanted to prioritize my daughter and her sleep and have her home. And so I just got what I needed to have at home. And I've been training at home pretty much ever since. And literally in my garage. Like, it's not like a fancy, like, you know, one of the big dogs. It's not Tia's gym, I'll tell you that much. It's not that beautiful Sunshine Coast gym. I'm like, it's like my double car garage and my cars are in the driveway.
That's how you can see you do muscle ups through the garage door. So it looks pretty good.
It does show you how incredibly effective the functional training is. Like, you know, Matt Fraser won the games training in his basement.
100%.
Like, he couldn't even stand up. He couldn't even stand up some parts of it.
And you know what? That forced him to lift well. Because he couldn't make an error, otherwise he was going to break something. So like, Yep. I think that that's the best environment. Like it doesn't, if you can do it in that, like I would think if I can do this with like my daughter running underneath me or yelling at me for food while I'm doing bar muscle ups and I can keep my cool and calm, I would get out on the comp floor and it was easy. I was like, someone's going to set up my gear. They're going to count my reps. No one's yelling at me. I'm going to just do my thing. It's so nice.
I've got chalk. They give me chalk. It's incredible.
Yep. Yeah, it's
That's
easy.
So cool. That's so good.
So
Wow.
the games when you won as a team, that was easy. That was easy work for you, Cara.
Yeah, the team was definitely the easiest I've done. Yeah, you just share the load, right? Mentally, you share the highs, you share the lows. So like the highs are boosted higher because you've got all the energy of each other and like helping each other and seeing each other win. And then the lows are split because you share it. So yeah, team's really fun and easy in that sense. And like if if you can't do something or you're struggling, you've got someone to pick up your weight. If they can't do something, you can pick up their weight. So that was just like really just for fun. And it was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, you guys nailed it though. Like you were so far ahead in the end.
Yeah,
like,
we had a good little team.
Impressive.
Yeah, we had
Are you
a
going to
good
go back
team.
and do teams, or is
Look,
it?
I don't know. At this stage this year, like I'm sitting out. I'm like technically retired from individual. Like I kind of have made that call. I don't know what that looks like. I always say that. I've always said never say never, but at this stage in my life, I've got 2 small kids. I really, really value that first phase of their life and I don't want to miss a beat of it. And I don't want to miss any of like that connection and I want to raise them, right? I want to be there. So, it would just these days it would just take a little bit too many hours, a little bit too much time away from them to train for the level. And team was about as much as I had last year. My son was only like kind of 8 months old or something. So he was still little. I think he was like 10 months by the time we got to the games. And that was about as much as I had, even trying to like sync up times and, like the wheels just fall off with kids and you've got to be ready to
react,
navigate that and to react to it. And and then it just came a point too where I was like, I don't want to rely on competition for like to keep a roof over my head. I was like, I want to make my own money on my own terms and hustle on my own that can't be affected by an injury or social media or something deeming me not valuable anymore, for whatever reason. So I've got kids to look after, and so my priorities just have kind of shifted. I still love it. Like I could walk onto a competition floor and have a blast, you know what I mean? But right now it just sort of, I always said I would just kind of show up so long as it felt right, and if it didn't feel right at any time, I would step aside. And for now it just doesn't feel like the right thing to be doing. And
so what have you been able to kind of put your endeavors to? Because like you seem to be, you're incredibly busy based on your Instagram and little things here and there and podcasts and nutritional programs. Like where is your focus at the moment?
So at the moment, obviously my kids are my number one. I am a stay-at-home mom through and through. I do all the mom things. I make all their food. I'm there for every sporting event or whatever it is they've got going on. And Maddie and I really like pride ourselves on that, on just always being there. I'd sort of never had anyone there much for me as a kid. And, Maddie's dad was always working so hard, so he was always away. So that's our number one priority, is to be there. And then we, after a couple of businesses, which just like, man, it's just tricky with like, I like to think I'm pretty good. I have a pretty good radar, but sometimes in business, not so much. With people, like working relationships, that's not my strength. And so I said to Maddie, the next thing we do, I just always had it in my gut. I was like, the next thing we do is just us, because it's for our home. It's for our family. We love and trust each other more than anything. We can have a Barney about something and come good because we're on the same team in the end, no matter what. And so we kind of like, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, what are you going to do? And Maddie actually, like, with all his great ideas, was like, you've always loved, like, he knows I always regretted walking away from my degree, and that I've had such a strong passion. I lived my entire career prioritizing nutrition, and I grew up prioritizing nutrition from a really young age when my mum got sick. And so he's like, why don't you kind of go back into that? And so I yeah, we did it. I did a couple of extra little courses to kind of get back up to scratch. Obviously, I've been living it. And I did that. I think I don't know if I was still pregnant or maybe like postpartum. I would just like read and study like when I was trapped under my son. And then we started our nutrition coaching business, which is it's nutrition coaching, but we kind of have like bigger plans within the pace that we can sustain with our kids right now. The podcast obviously being one of them, but that's just more about sharing so that people can understand our vibe. You know, they know what we're about. It's a lot more personable. Like, you know, you can talk and you can hear tone and have conversation rather than social media, which is very quick and, you know, disposable. And so, yeah, we're doing that and loving it. Maddie and I are doing it. He jumped on board because we just do everything together and we're like hustling hard.
So with your nutritional like course that you've done or as you've got back on, like have you felt that that's been in completely alignment with the way that you've lived your life, or do you think there's been, or has there been I guess, because I've personally have done some nutrition and I've done it and gone, this is not in line with how I want to be doing it. So I'm interested to hear, like, you know, what's your experience from the education versus what you're actually doing.
Yeah, look, I think in the end, the most valuable thing that, despite not finishing my degree, especially studying at that young age, it's so in my brain. It's such a part of me. And I love that degree. Like they've changed it since, and it's a little bit different, but it was quite holistic and it was very much food as medicine focused. I had a lot of lecturers who worked in oncology and all kinds of things and treating people from the inside out for the health, like for the long haul. And that has always been my mindset. And that was my, you know, my mom got cancer when I was younger. Like she turned to like natural ways of doing things and kind of overhauled her health. And I remember like, you know, getting rid of all the toxins in our house and, you know, eating really clean food and all that kind of stuff. So that was always my foundation and how I've always lived. And then when I when I got a professional coach, I also got a nutrition coach. And that's when I was introduced to like macros and that whole more calculated side for performance, because I always ate so well and so clean, but I was actually falling short for my performance. And so then I learned those two worlds, and I just take what I have learned and what I have practiced and what I have found works for different people, right? Because not everyone is the same. And I just keep learning a little bit more and more. And I just take bits that I think are really valuable and just kind of keep my ears open and pay attention as much as I can. There's some things that I'm like, oh, I still like to hear it. I still like to understand that point of view. But then ultimately, like with nutrition, it's all about reading the individual person. Like what we do is so much more about counseling the individual than it is anything else, you know, understanding why they do what they do.
And it's not normally about food.
Behavioral therapy, CBT almost, behavioral therapy and psychology. Do you go out to the houses and like I've got friends who are nutritionists and they say they have actually got to go to the customer's house, the client's house, and look at their cupboard and say, look at all this stuff that, you know, and teach them how to understand what food is and what fake food is and go shopping with them. You know, how do you deliver your nutritional education?
Look, the beauty about this modern day and age is that we can do it online, and that allows me to still be home with my children and to still be and to practice what I preach, but also be there for people and their busy lives. To be honest, there's so many people who are like, they wouldn't even have the time. Like it's a struggle to even get a check-in done, you know? So I get pretty creative with like what that looks like for different people. The only people I meet up with or that I've met up in person was local, working with some women specifically for like preconception and pregnancy support. But otherwise I do it online. And we can do that still, like send me a shopping list. Like, you know, if they shop at Woolies, you know, build your click and collect list and share it with me. You know, you can do these kind of things now, which is amazing. And you can upload photos and send me supplements and things like that. And, you know, anything I don't know, I'll delve into and find out. And I can kind of offer that support from wherever I am, which is a huge part of why we sort of chose this business as well. Aside from needing to choose something, I've done something of such purpose my whole entire life, right? Like being a CrossFit athlete was so much passion and so much purpose. So I wouldn't be able to do anything that wasn't like, you know, that I loved. I don't think I could. I would be miserable. I'd be depressed. So I had to choose something like that and something that fit in with the structure of our family. And the beauty is I can practice what I preach and be camping with my family and prioritizing our nutrition and supporting somebody else with theirs while they're out working, on a cattle station or whatever it is, wherever they are, which is really, really cool because you just get to actually, one of the benefits of modern technology is that you can reach more people that feel aligned with us, right?
Do you have athletes? Like you've lived it, you're healthy, you've trained at elite levels, and do you have athletes coming to you for advice? Like, are they your clients, or are
No,
they just
actually,
everyday
I
gen
don't
pop?
actually know. So like our clients work out. So people are like, mostly they're like kind of similar. They're like, hey, I have a busy life. We actually have like a lot of shift workers, a lot of service personnel. Like obviously Maddie sort of has that side as well. But we work with people who like to move, but they also just are like normal people, right? They want to know how to eat around their training. They do different styles of training. A lot of them are doing CrossFit. A lot of them are doing different styles, and you can kind of support them around their events, their local competitions, or their daily training. But they also like might have, a full-time job and 3 kids. So or they are navigating being a police officer or a firefighter or, ambulance or whatever. So we have a real, that's definitely our people, is people who are like usually busy in a sense of offering service to others who sometimes lack the time, knowledge, and ability to be of service to themselves. And that's our passion. So that's who we kind of support. And obviously those people usually love to work out because that's what we do.
Yeah, they're interested in health. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of I'm meeting more athletes. They're not necessarily games athletes or games bound, but they're extremely high level, and they're getting more interested in lower carb nutrition, lower carb nutrition, and for performance. But what do you think when you see some of the higher profile athletes and their day in the life of eating videos and things like that? They're sometimes a little bit frightening.
I dislike those videos in general. Don't get me started. I dislike all of those kind of videos unless they offer some kind of purpose and real value add, but often they don't. There's not often a lot of context behind that video, and it can be very misleading and influential in not necessarily an ideal way for people watching at home. And people may feel less than, or feel like they're falling short, or feel like they need to do something else is doing without any real context. So I think if anyone's going to do a video like that, it needs to be of service. So, like, here's what I ate around a morning training session because I get up at 5:30 to support, like more detail, like give more detail, something that's like offers something. And
context.
Often too, context. You just need context, right? Like otherwise, what's your body weight? What's your energy requirements? What do you do in the rest of your day? You might get someone who's run off their feet and thinks they got to eat that small amount, or someone's got to eat that. Like it's so silly because people are so different. And I think that they're pretty irresponsible, and often they're coming from a place of, it's not to be of service for somebody else. It's for themselves, right? It's like, oh, look at me and what I'm doing, and I'm ticking a box and I don't know, putting content up or whatever. And I'm very mindful, but yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think without any real value as to say, for instance, someone says, here's my 3 favorite lunches I've eaten this week that really feel like they carry my energy levels through the afternoon, and like something positive, or I found have really helped. They really have these really nourishing nutrients that really help with my inflammation, or something like that. Or, but there's just nothing.
Yeah.
So they're
They're
selfish.
not explaining why Cocoa Pops or something like that is their caloric supplement, as opposed to something that may be actually real food.
No, they're
It's
cheap
just
and
entertainment,
tacky.
really. It's just entertainment, right?
Yeah, it's like a soapy. It's like they're trashy. Yep, don't like them.
Cara, I know. I mean, I'm watching clock ticking. I've still got a couple of other things I'm burning to talk to you about.
Okay.
So did you want to plug your company or your service, your business
Yeah,
name? Or,
you can find us. We're called Heaps Good Nutrition. It's very
Heaps Good
Aussie.
Nutrition. Yep.
It's very Aussie, but we're good vibes in for a good life. People living happy and feeling good in themselves. Yeah, you can find us on Instagram.
Instagram as
We
well.
don't plug ourselves a lot because we find that the right people will find us when they need to find us if we're doing the right things. And we're really about just kind of growing naturally and organically, and we're very busy and we're good. We're kind of waitlisting at the moment. So
We'll plug. If you don't plug you, we'll plug you. So
okay. We love what we do. We love helping people. We do.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people there. Okay, I'm going to show another video, Cara, and what we can do, if you've got any thoughts on it as I play it, it's actually the Fibonacci workout.
Fibonacci final, yeah.
Fibonacci final. So I'm going to add this to the stage, and I'll pause it at certain moments and maybe ask you what was going through your head.
Is it a workout you remember, Cara?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I do.
Correct. And this is this crazy Fibonacci sequence that somehow inspired Castro to get the rep sequence. Anthony was telling me about that a little bit earlier, how it's this incredible part of nature and ingrained in the whole universe, apparently, this sequence. Did you know that about the Fibonacci, what that meant?
No, didn't know.
Okay.
No,
okay. Well,
it's very powerful. It's like in every growth pattern, in flowers, in animals, in
cockle shells, bananas.
In
apparently, it's this numbering pattern, which is why you did 2, and then you did 3, and then you did 5.
That makes sense.
It's a number of that.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah, there's a method to Castro's madness. Let's play it. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 2017, right? Yeah.
Despite all of that, it's virtually win and clinch the games title for 2 athletes in our final heat of women's competition at the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games.
So you guys are all
leads Cara Webb
at the top of the leaderboard.
6 points. That is
Super
the difference
close.
between first and
And
second.
did you think that you needed to win this event, Cara? So
I'm pretty sure I didn't. I knew obviously if it wasn't about winning, it was just about beating a couple of people. Like I think I just needed to make sure that I was ahead of a few people. I knew that I could either win the games or I could be booted off the podium. So I can't remember if it was like get ahead of Annie and then obviously ahead of Tia would be better. But yeah, I do remember. I remember I remember before the event because I was the most cool, calm, and collected at this games than I ever have been in my entire life, in my entire career. I had the most fun the entire weekend. And then when this workout was announced, I finally lost my marbles because I was like, oh my gosh, at the moment I'm on the podium, it's like all of a sudden you feel like you could lose something, right? Like you have it to lose. And I'm not great at handstand push-ups. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not great at handstand push-ups. What if I can't do it? Like I'm going to lose it. And Maddie's like metaphorically like slapping me in the face out the back, like you've got this, like trying to help me. He's stressing, I'm stressing. And I just went out there and I fully just snapped into flow. Like I just did what I had to do.
You have parallel handstand push-ups.
And did they only just announce it immediately, sort of a couple of hours beforehand?
Oh man, it could have been like, it could have been half an hour before. Like it's pretty close. We had a little bit of time to practice out the back on the because I think the men might have gone first. So we had a bit of practice on some parallettes and stuff, but not long.
Yeah.
The CrossFit Games
so was that a new movement, Cara, was it? The parallettes? Was that something?
I don't think it was a new movement. I just wasn't very good at it. Like handstand push-ups are just not classically a great strength for me, especially on the parallettes. Like just that depth.
Test a completely different set of muscle groups. Those shoulders.
Did the kettlebells, were they particularly heavy? It was
they were heavy. They were 106 pounds.
And at this
56 kilos, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe 46.
100 and something.
Yeah.
Pounds.
I think it was 106. Yeah, I think they were 106 pounds. I can't remember. I've still got them. I've got a set,
Are
but
they, are they something that you picked up before and trained with that heavy, or
no.
no?
No.
No.
Australia
to the
and
games.
Iceland in the top 5.
Yeah.
The
So-
points
and
leader,
you're right in the
Tia
middle.
Claire
You're in the
Toomey,
middle
will be
lanes.
in lane number 5.
These were
Claire
the
Toomey
wonder years
sitting in
when
first place
all these
by
athletes
just
were around.
6 points.
It was
that
just so
means is that
entertaining
if she
as
wins this event, she wins
as a
the
fan.
games.
Yeah, I bet.
The issue
I bet.
is
It was
that
so
if
good.
she
It was
gets
so good.
second in this event and Webb gets first, Webb
And there was a lot of
wins based
closeness.
off a
There was a lot of,
tiebreaker
like,
It was
for having
really,
more
yeah.
place finishes than Tia Claire Toomey.
Yeah,
Webb
that
has
was
3
like
wins. That would be good for
a
the
lot of
tiebreaker.
adrenaline on
Annie
this workout.
Thorstadter
Yeah.
looking for her 5th podium finish.
Annie's holding on to this 3rd place position. She is back into podium contention for the first time in a long time.
This is after her baby as well?
One athlete who has
No,
held
no,
the
before
3rd
any of us had
place position for
babies.
the last
Oh,
None of us
okay.
had
2
babies
years.
yet.
Annie
She's
had
26 points behind Annie Thorstadter.
Yeah, she had her first baby after me.
One last test. 6-minute time cap. Do not expect these ladies to need it.
We're starting with 3 parallel handstand push-ups into 5 kettlebell deadlifts. Tia Claire Toomey has one of the highest finishing places in an event like this from 2 years ago that got her her first second place position. Cara Webb wasn't really there because
this
of
is
what
a good
happened
workout
to
for
her
Annie,
in
isn't
Murph
it?
that year.
Like,
So we
Yeah.
don't know
Jam.
how
All
well
of these
Cara
things
can
are
handle this
jam.
movement.
Yeah.
But your points leader, Tia Claire Toomey, finds herself in 8th. Cara Webb in 7th after round number 1 because Jamie Green leads the way. Her name highlighted in blue as the heat leader. Everybody else will be in red. The minus number showing how far they are behind the field. The entire field is virtually within a rep of
They
each
look
other.
really heavy.
Yeah, they're
Annie
pretty
Thorstadter
heavy. It
on
was just
the
like the
left.
adrenaline
Tia
trying to
Claire
control
Toomey
them
in
as
the
well
middle
was
and
really
right
hard.
ahead.
And you have to
Cara
keep
Webb
your
Yeah.
legs really
tank
close
top, also
together.
in the center. Sarah
Yeah.
Siegmundsdottir is leading that 4-person battle in points as she's upside down in the yellow tank top.
Deadlifts are also my weakness.
Tia Claire
Okay.
Toomey
You-
versus
you-
Cara Webb is ahead of her
not a-
currently
not
as
a,
they're getting
big fan of
advanced
deadlifts.
in the reps.
No.
The other
Can
races
squat
between that
almost
third
more
place
than my deadlift
position.
more
On the
more
far
often
left,
than
you have
not.
Annie Thorstadter. Far right, you have Siegmundsdottir. This was an event that dismantled her from that top place position 2 years ago.
Cara Webb back down to the ground. Annie Thorstadter will move away from the wall. She is now out in front in terms of these 4 athletes fighting for 3 podium positions, including the number 1 spot. Tia Claire Toomey moves ahead of Cara Webb, and she's getting a couple of reps in that interval between her and Cara.
I was in the stadium
This is
actually
the
shouting at
final
your
round
car
of
when this
kettlebell
happened.
Oh,
deadlifts. You
yeah?
have
Yeah, I was a guest of
124
Greg
pounds
Glassman
in each
actually.
hand. 13
We were in his
repetitions.
booth.
This
Yeah,
race
yeah.
is going to come down
That
to
was
90-foot
absolutely wild.
overhead walking
I think
lunge.
Greg might have been sitting
Annie
next to me actually when we were
Thorstadter, first
watching
one
this.
through the 3-round portion of the event as Tia Claire Toomey is trying to hold
That's
off
so
Cara
good.
Webb. They are within 1 rep of each other.
That was the way.
So what weight was that?
Thorstadter making her
I'm
way
pretty
on the
sure they
line.
were just 16
Sarah
kilos.
Siegmundsdottir
I'm pretty
is
sure.
2 lanes below her in yellow and blue.
But,
in
like, they
second
felt-
place.
oh,
In lane number
like-
3 is Katrin
crazy.
Davidsdottir.
It just-
The 3
You know,
Icelandic
like the
That's such a
adrenaline
hard
hitting
leading
the
the
one.
way
muscles,
with
and
your
like it
points
just feels
leader,
like you're gonna
Tia
like go
Claire
numb.
Toomey in 4th. She has the 6-point
So
advantage
at
over
this
Cara
point,
Webb.
you're
As long
thinking,
as Tia finishes ahead of Cara and
you're thinking Tia's ahead of you. There's a few girls. There's Annie's ahead of you. What's going through your mind at this point? When you
Literally, all I was thinking about was holding those kettlebells up because our shoulders were like, you kind of feel like you're not going to make it to the end. Like
Yeah.
they're just going to collapse. And if they collapse, you're getting a kettlebell on the head. So that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah. And then you have to go back to the line again. The 5 foot.
That's right. And that's
Perfect line.
that's detrimental. So you got to be so in tune with what your shoulders are doing because you're better off to have a strategic stop than to
Yep.
collapse in the middle and have to go back.
Yeah.
As a
Oh,
finish
you
of
had to make
16th
each
or better,
was
she
5
clinches
foot,
the
was it?
title. Annie
Yeah.
Thorstadter trying to hold
Those
on to a
lines.
podium position. She drops the kettlebells. Sarah Siegmundsdottir looking like she wants to go unbroken. And Katrin Davidsdottir might give her some help. Tia Claire Toomey in the
Well,
background.
Tia's doing a
sets the
strategic
kettlebells down.
stop there.
Cara Webb is still moving
Yeah.
with hers.
You don't stop. You keep going.
Siegmundsdottir trying to go
You're chasing her down.
5 feet away. Will she get the help to pass Annie Thorstadter
Sarah's
for
good.
third in the points positions? She gets 100 points to help her out. In effect, wins
She wasn't really a threat for you, though, was she? Sarah wasn't.
I don't think so. I hadn't like fully done the math. I just
Right.
Tia Claire Toomey, 6 points ahead of Cara Webb entering the event. She just needs to finish ahead of Cara.
And what's Tia here?
1 year ago,
Yeah, she collapsed.
Tia Claire Toomey, the
It was
first person
just
to be an Olympian.
good
and a
call from
Games
the
athlete
judge, though.
in the same year.
And
yeah, it
back
was a
she
good call,
goes.
but the panic.
How devastating for
I
her
know.
on the one step.
I know.
And you saw that? Were you aware? Were you just
Yeah.
focusing on your own shoulder stability, or did
Both.
you kind of
Both. You
kind of
know
go,
both.
holy crap?
Well, at this point, I got nothing to lose, right? Like,
The
so she was
window is
already
just
ahead of
opened.
me. You
Yep.
just got to go. You just got to go
Yep.
at that point. Yeah.
And look at the camera work here. It's just so
Right
good.
behind her. Can Tia still hang on? They are neck and neck at the line.
Boom.
To the podium.
Boom.
Cara legs are out.
One of the best moments
Oh my
in the
goodness,
CrossFit
what
Games,
a
I think.
finish.
It was
Look
just
at
like
this.
shock.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at Tia. Look at you
Um,
going, oh my God, what just happened? Look
Well,
at
I think she thought she had lost it at that point, and I think that's why
Right.
she panicked. Yeah.
Right. That's so cool.
And you're not
And
sure at this stage. You're just like, oh my
you don't know.
goodness.
The maths is too complicated because you're not in. It's not 95 or 100. It's
It's
It's crazy.
19 hundredths of a second.
19. That's 1/5 of a second.
There
1/5
are
of
more
a second.
times that will be a factor in this race. The only thing we know, Annie Thorstadter ties Rich Froning for the most amount of podium finishes by an individual athlete in Games history at 5.
Big hug.
yeah.
Thank you for doing that for us. Thank you for providing that entertainment. That was spectacular.
I feel stressed all over
Absolutely
again.
Yeah. Do you sort of watch those events, like when you go back and jump on YouTube every now and then and just,
No. It would take me, after every Games, it
rekindle
would
those
take me
memories?
close to 12 months before I could watch any of it, because I would just
Wow.
pick myself apart. So it would take me a really long time. And then some of them I haven't watched I've watched snippets of it because it gets posted a lot. But yeah, I haven't really watched any events in a long time.
You did beat Tia in that event, though, didn't you? You beat her by
I didn't.
1900ths of a second.
1/5 of a second. Yeah.
Yeah, so the in podium score I was 2 points behind.
Yep. And then you were on the podium. Whoops, wrong one. Okay. Look, Karen, one last little bit of an insight that only you can tell us.
Yep.
You spent a fair bit of time in Cookville at Mayhem.
Mhm.
Now, what is it like to live there and spend time at the Mayhem sort of empire?
Oh, it's so crazy. Like it's just such a different place, especially coming from Oz. Like there's just nothing like it. I don't think I've ever been anywhere like it, because it's kind of small town vibes, right? Like it's very, like it's Cookville, Tennessee. It's like pretty small. I feel like everyone could know everyone. Like when we were getting an Uber to the gym a little bit at the start, it's like everyone knew there's like 2 Uber drivers in the whole town. They're like, oh, did you get this guy or that lady? And then you go, so it's like, it's very like American kind of country town. Not a lot of like, there's like shops and things, but it's like not very city.
Is it sort of like on par with Toowoomba or
I haven't even been to
even
Toowoomba,
right.
Yeah,
So it's
still like there's kind of just more like this the town, like it's not like a city, there's a town, right? Like it's kind of in town, but it's still like big wide open streets and everything's pretty slow. Like there's not traffic.
No parking meters. You don't have to sort of wait.
Like,
look left and right and wait too long to cross the road. And
no, like, and that's in the town bit, and then there's like other bits where there's obviously like kind of major shops and stuff. You kind of go out of the way, and then the gym is just ginormous. Like it's like a whole block, and it's an athlete's dream because it's got all of the toys and in abundance, everything you can imagine, everything's set up just perfectly. They got the little cafe at the front. When I went there, they had built out like another games athlete part out the back. So when they're training for the games, like we weren't all too disruptive to the classes if we were doing something at like a class time, because they're very much like community and their classes first, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily know. So like there's so many athletes going in there, but they're very like, you're a guest here and our members are our family and they take priority. And, they expect you to like, smile and say hello and be respectful and kind to everyone you come in. Like that's just a given. So I really respect and value that there. And then, what else? Like, the gym's
are all the
amazing.
athletes just doing their own thing, or are you sort of
Like a bit of both,
engaging and stuff like that, or?
A little bit of both. So what happens is like they'll have the kind of the program written that everyone, like all the athletes kind of following, but then everyone might need to do some things a little bit differently or on a little bit of a different time. So sometimes, some people, for instance, say they coach or they work or they've got another commitment or they've got a massage or something, they might need to move workouts around. So they might kind of group up with some people for that and some people for that, or it's like a little bit, it's a mix of both. Like definitely people break off with kind of who's available, and there's some people who obviously like to have someone there all the time to do it against. When I was there, like I obviously have kids, so I was always working around their schedule. So wherever I could, I would join in, usually with like other Aussies or Euros or something like that. And we would kind of, sync up as best we could. Otherwise, sometimes I'd have to just go in. I'm a little bit different too, is I get my work done way quicker than everyone. So not like workout sense, but just like, what might take me 2 hours might take 5 hours for everyone else, because I just take less rest and I just get it done and I go home and do my thing. But I would sync up with.
You're a mum. You've got to.
I'm a mom, man. I was like, I've got to get to nap time. So, for me, like I would try and sync up with like, some of the people that for certain workouts, and then I'd do some on my own, and everyone would kind of do that a little bit. Some people, for instance, there might be a workout where they're like, I need to not go to the track and I need to stay here and do some more lifting, so if they still needed to do more of their individual parts, they might split off. But also if there was like Hinshaw was taking everyone to the track, then like a lot of people would go, or he would do it in like maybe 2 groups because there were so many of us, and go, okay, we'll do this group at this time and this group at this time, and, come when suits you type of thing. So it was definitely like a really good flow of in and out depending on what you need.
And is that where Rich lives? Like, is the barn? He's got the barn where they did the Mayhem. No, they did the Mayhem Classic. I think they were warming up in the barn. Is that kind of his residence, or what?
So the barn is his residence. Yep. So he's got it's about, I think it was like 20 minutes away.
So it's not all on the one sort of
no. So they've got the gym. They've got the gym there, and it kind of takes up its whole own spot. And then he's like, his home is maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe 20 at most, I would say.
Yep.
And he's kind of got this big property. And then he's got, you drive down the driveway. It's kind of a really long, rocky driveway, and you get to his house. And then he's kind of got a big concrete path that goes from the house down to the barn. And it's kind of far enough away from the house that it's like not too noisy if his family's at home. But it's still close enough. And then in the barn, he's got like everything you need there. Like there's, there's water in there and all that kind of stuff. Like
CrossFit box,
it's got toilets and everything.
Athletes go there and train. Like, did you train there as well? Or?
Yeah, I train there as well. Athletes will kind of like go between the two. So sometimes he might go, hey, let's all go do a run out from the barn, or go for a swim or whatever. And again, usually everyone would split into like maybe 2 or 3 groups just because of space and people's schedules. But mostly, we would go out there, and it was really enjoyable. It was like really nice. You got like the bison out in the field, and it's I really enjoyed it there. I like both, but I mean, I could take my daughter and she would go in the house and play with his kids, so that was fun. Playing all the cars and the toys floating around. So
it looks like they're pretty spoiled kids. They've got everything.
Yeah, they've got so much cool stuff, like so many like all the gym toys and all the people. Right, they've always got people around to talk to and to play with them, which is like so cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, how does the town that small service such a massive facility? Like, it's just
Well, it's
everyone in
kind
the
of like,
town jacked, and everyone in the town is just like a CrossFitter.
well, I think he's really like, I think it's like quite the opposite, right? Like, I think in a lot of those kind of small towns, there's not as much money in certain areas, and there's definitely not as much like nutritional education and even access to certain foods, right? So, yeah, a lot of, you've got like a lot of like little communities within there that, are drinking a lot of soft drink and things like that more commonly. And I think what Rich did for the town is like he really brought health, I guess, and fitness to his town, like to Cookville. And so you'll find just so many like normal, I say that coming from an athlete, you know what I mean? Just normal people in his gym just going, and like he's got like a seniors class, and like it's amazing. Like it's actually like a full social hub for a lot of these people too, and a lot of people who maybe were like a little bit lost and had no idea how to take care of their own health, and it's just a full hub where they can learn how to do that and be supported by other people doing it as well. And you see that in some of their documentaries too, where they've shared with certain people who like, they would have had nothing, like their life just wouldn't have even been close. They had no like social connection, no understanding of health and fitness. And, they're not trying to be like the fittest on earth by any means. Like they're just trying to like live better days and just learn and interact, and that's the majority of that gym. And I think that's definitely a huge part that people don't really see, because they see all the athletes doing crazy stuff there. Day to day there's kids
There's
and
hundreds of people filing
working class
through, doing their thing. Wow, it's almost like a little mini ecosystem of what CrossFit could do for the world. He's done it.
100%.
He's done it in his little part of the world, but
Yeah,
on a
like people
grander
know
scale.
who he is. Like he's like,
Yeah,
that's Rich Froning in my town, like it's it's really cool actually.
I heard
He's probably going to become the mayor by the sound of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
The king of Cookville.
Yeah.
CEO of CrossFit and mayor of Cooktown. There we go. That'll be a nice ring to it.
They said that even the when the mail arrives, the postman drops the mail off and quickly goes and does a few muscle ups. And is the postman, like the jacked postman and the jacked
I wouldn't be surprised.
Man and Uber driver.
That wouldn't even surprise me.
All right. Well, look, Anthony, any other questions for Cara? She must be getting.
I think we're probably it's way past bedtime. It's for a CrossFit athlete. It's way past bedtime.
We've got to do our final set of questions then, eh? We've worked out a good way to end the podcast.
All right,
it's been troubling me for a while. So, Cara, we're going to give you.
Don't let me down, Cara.
We're going to give you 2 or 3 options, and you got to say which one you're choosing. And Anthony and I, every week, we have a little leaderboard of our own to see who
because Dave's like competitive, right?
Who gets more points. Absolutely.
No.
All right, and also we kind of get some information about you from talking to you, and it should help us. It tests who's listening more.
Okay.
Okay. So first options, Cara Webb, Cara Saunders, chipper or sprint?
Chipper.
Workout.
Chipper.
No, you got to wait till we say, and then
okay.
Okay.
That was a test run. Don't tell us what you think about it.
So you've got to guess, and then I'll tell you after.
Anthony, what would you have said? What would you have said, Anthony?
I would have said chipper. I would have said chipper based on that. So. Actually, you would have said sprint, Dave.
I would have said sprint. You're a power athlete. You're a power athlete. Like the clean ladder. That's a power athlete.
Yeah, but I get bored. I like variance in a chipper.
Okay. What have I got here?
It's one for me. Yes.
One for Anthony. Okay, I'll give you that, Anthony.
No, I don't want that one. Don't do that, because then you'll tell me that
it's
not deserved if I win.
Have a think about this. If you're going to have a cheat meal, and I don't know whether you do have cheat meals, we're all human, would you go for an ice cream or a chocolate bar?
A chocolate what?
A chocolate bar.
Oh, a chocolate bar, right.
Like a Mars bar or a Snickers bar or your favourite chocolate bar if you've got. What do you think, Anthony? You give you the first shot.
I'm going to go ice cream.
We can both pick the same as well. I'm going to go ice cream as well because you live in the Gold Coast and it's hot and you're down by the water.
Am I allowed to tell you now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
You're both wrong. It's chocolate 100%. Every single day.
Okay, Chocky Bar.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 options here, Cara.
Mm-hmm.
If you had your pick of vehicle to drive, would it be a car, a ute, or a mum's minivan?
Oh, that's hard for me too.
I'm gonna go with a good old Toyota Hilux ute type of thing.
I'm going to go with the minivan. I can see you wanting to be a soccer mum. I can see it.
Look, that's actually a hard one.
I only got 2 kids.
It would
Yeah,
be
at the
between the
moment.
2, but I'm gonna say you just because.
Yeah. Not ready for the minivan yet.
No, practicality. Oh, look, I've thought about it, but I'm gonna say
3
you.
kids and it'll be a minivan, hands down.
Yeah.
If I see you
Alright.
driving around in a minivan, Cara, like
You're
this
coming
point
for me.
goes back to me.
Are you going to go with an EV or a good old unleaded petrol vehicle? I'm going to go with petrol.
I'm going with petrol too.
Yeah, probably. I'm a bit too basic and don't trust the inconsistencies.
Yep. We don't want to do a hard reboot of the old software in the middle of, Okay, you've got 2 events to go for. A triathlon or a high rocks. Anthony, your turn.
Triathlon.
Go for?
You're a swimmer. It's got to be a triathlon.
It's a bit of a crazy old high rocks at the moment. I think you'd absolutely blitz it, but yeah, I'll go triathlon as well.
Oh, it's a close one. I dislike both. I dislike both. Look, I'm probably.
You've lost your love of swimming, eh?
Yeah, gosh.
Or is it the cycling?
Yeah, it's like the cycling kind of turns me off a little bit, and then like I hate mass swimming. Like everyone's in at the same time. I'm probably gonna say high rocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we both lost that one. But you heard it first. Tara said that she doesn't like high rocks.
Yeah. I don't like doing what everybody else is doing. That's why.
I think high rocks is a bit of a money grab. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with people doing exercise.
No,
and
do fitness, man.
But it's a bit of a money grab. It's not a lifestyle. It's not a methodology. Who's the GOAT, Fraser or Froning?
Oh,
Anthony. What do you think?
It'd have to be Froning.
Yeah, I'm going to say Froning.
Yeah, I'll agree. When you look at like overall the longevity, the team, the individual, and like
and just the ambassadorship.
There's been a lot to that career, right? There's like a lot of layers to it. So yeah,
he's a statesman. Yeah. Last one, Cara. Last one. You'll be glad to hear. Would you rather relax on a beach holiday or would you rather go on a bush camping trip with the fam?
She lives at the beach. This is not fair. Doesn't have to go on a beach holiday.
Not everyone likes roughing it. Where they're sleeping on bloody hard soil. I am going to go with the beach holiday. Anthony?
Well, if I go with the beach holiday, it means that we're going to be on the same point. So I have to go the opposite.
You go the camping. She's going to take a ute camping. She's going to take the ute camping.
Yeah, I want the win. So hopefully it's either gonna be. I'm throwing it all away.
Do you love camping?
Do you love camping? I'm gonna say camping.
You're going camping. You're going camping. Oh. That's a win for Anthony.
I do love it. And you know what? There's no relaxing beach holiday with children. So that doesn't exist.
Camping, you can just let them go wild. Yeah.
Let them run free.
Yeah. You gotta watch them.
Well, you got that awesome camper trailer that I've seen on Instagram. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty nice.
Yep.
So lots of holidays in that.
Yeah.
And we're going to catch up again soon. If you're ever in Brisbane, drop into us here at the Gabba.
Yes, definitely.
You've never been into our gym, have you?
I haven't. And you know what? Last time I came up to Brizzy, it was just such a short in and out. I came up for a meeting and I had to turn around like pretty much straight away. And I do need to come up and visit my grandparents.
Come in
so
and let us know.
I'll come to a workout.
5 p.m. class, 6 p.m. class. I work at the gym now. This is my medical center at the gym. So we've brought the hospital to the gym. Previously, we brought the gym to the hospital. So now I've got my consulting suites here. I've got a couple of offices. I've got a studio for the assessments and things. And it's all part of the center. So love to show it off to you. And,
it's a way better vibe than a hospital.
Oh God, it is so good. It's changed my life.
Yeah, I bet.
So I just finished work, turn the computers off. I take a step out and I'm in the brief.
So good.
He's still late, Cara.
Yeah, but
I blame my secretary for that. Gives me too many admin tasks. All right, good night, Cara. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for your time. We had a great time, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for the chat. Talk to you soon.
Thanks very much, Cara. See you later. Have a good night.
Say good day to Maddie for me.
I will do.
They
say hi. He says hi.
Hey, Maddie.
Hey, Maddie.
Talk later, buddy. Bye-bye.
See ya.
See you later.
Right, Anthony, that was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. What a great lady.
She is. She's wonderful. That's 2 good podcasts in a row. We're on a roll now.
Yep. No, just privileged to be able to have people like that, willing to share their story. What a great story.
She is, and she's just full of so much energy and life, and she just seems to give everything a go. So so amazing to hear how
easy for her to inspire people to change. Hey, that's gonna be
absolutely so amazing to hear her not feel like she had to, like she was only just training once a day in the beginning, and she got to the games. That's phenomenal. So, and the fortitude to keep training when she was just at school and doing it in secret, that's pretty cool.
Pretty nuts that she didn't like doing sports. I might sign us out with the True Blue podcast on that note. Given the fact that this may be the last time we get to hear the
yes.
Here we go. It's a great song. True Blue, mate. True Blue. Aussie.
True blue.
Love it.
I'm asking
It's coming up to Anzac Day too.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Good night.
All right. See ya. Have a good Easter.